Hey, thanks for joining me. I just thought I'd try something different today. Pryde of the X-Men. We all know this one-off that happened in 1989. Um, any of us that are X-Men fans, we know about the Disney Plus is going to be revamping and restarting the X-Men series from what 97, and it got me thinking about that. And I thought about doing some commentary on some of those X-Men shows, but you know what? Why not start with the Pryde of the X-Men? I gotta say, I think this is vastly superior animation wise. I think it's so much better than the 97 era X-Men stuff. And I liked that X-Men cartoon. I was really into it. I think there's a lot of stuff they do pretty well. The animation's rough for the most part, but the animation in this 1989, it looks like a lot of the cartoons that were on in the 80s. And I don't know, something just looked better. And it's such a perfect animated equivalent of like the John Byrne era artistically of X-Men. It just looks fantastic. I can't get over how much I like it. So I was looking up some of these voices, and the guy who does the voice of Magneto is the guy who is in Terminator 2, Dr. Silberman, the psychiatric guy that kept Sarah Connor trapped, or not trapped, but under lock and key. I looked up the voice, and that's who does the voice of Magneto. He was also Nagilum in an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation for those big nerds. I remember as a kid, I don't think I'd ever read anything that I recall when I first saw this about why there's this hot chick in like lingerie. Like, why is she in like panties and a corset? I know now why. It's still kind of silly. I'm kind of actually surprised that they did this. But this animation on Magneto looks so damn good, even though he looks like he's 10 feet tall right there. Animation wise, everything here is better than anything in the X-Men from the 90s. The voice acting, I think, is fine. Obviously, we can't hear the audio on this because it gets banned and from YouTube, and so it's not going to work. But there was a lot of voices that you've heard in a billion different places in the cartoon, so that kind of made it a little bit. I don't want to say it ruined it a little bit, but just having those voices that I've heard a million times over. So, but the basic premise is Kitty Pryde comes and joins the X-Men, so she's going to meet them for the first time, and then within like 10 minutes, the mansion's under attack from Juggernaut and Magneto. Kind of silly, but I mean, they only had like, what, 22 minutes to tell everything that they needed to on this story. So I guess we can't blame them too much for rushing everything. Oh God, I'm on YouTube, so of course commercials are gonna play. Oh well. I watched this earlier and it didn't do one damn commercial. Now it doesn't this time. Of course it does. But anyway, all the animation on these characters, again, they're the classic 80s era, like late 70s, early 80s costume designs from the Claremont John Byrne era. And I can't get over how much they look so good. Like the spotting of the blacks, like on Cyclops coming up here when he's down here and does his little optic blast. The black shapes on his costume look really well done. Like, it looks as good as anything in the comics when it comes up here. The voice of Kitty was a little whiny. I think the voice of Professor X was pretty damn good. And it looks like it's straight out of those comics. Like, it looks exactly correct. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, here's this scene. Like, Cyclops in his like classic outfit and all those black shapes on his outfit. It looks so damn good. Boom. Beautiful. Colossus. Again, some of the voice acting, I know these are all a bunch of international characters. You got Russian, you got Storm from Africa, you got Nightcrawler from Germany. Sometimes I feel like they leaned into the accents a little too hard. Maybe. Colossus looks great. Dazzler is an interesting choice because she's kind of a nobody character, right? I mean, I don't care for her. I don't hate her or anything. And she was a big deal for like a minute. But I honestly feel like they had to have some female character besides Storm. And why they didn't put Jean Grey, I don't know. Um, Nightcrawler's awesome. It kind of explain his powers as he could just teleport. It's a lot more than that. Wolverine, I love that he's in the brown and tan outfit rather than the yellow and blue. He's a little tall and skinny, but that's fine. And Storm here looks amazing. The hair, the costume, that cape blowing in the wind. She looks absolutely perfect. Like, this is just so much better than any of that stuff in the 90s era, which was all based on the Jim Lee comics, which I'm a big fan of. I know I've said that, but old Professor X, he's sitting here kind of explaining who the X-Men are. And because I'm a terrible YouTube guy, I should have had the captions on, just because. This is another thing. Like, I know they're just trying to portray that Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler, he's just a nice guy. But he doesn't seem to get the concept of, like, dude, you look like fucking Satan, so chill out and don't scare the 14-year-old girl. God, Storm and Cyclops look so good. They're Colossus. I'm just going to be saying that a lot. They look so damn good. They look perfect. Storm's face right there. And here's the biggest problem. Wolverine has an Australian accent. Whatever the hell the reason for that was, it's kind of funny, ironically, that Hugh Jackman, he's a Australian, but I mean, I didn't know at the time when I first saw this. I mean, like, I didn't know that he was Canadian, and it was an accent, but as a kid in '89, I don't know if I knew what I mean, I guess I did know what Australian was. I watched Crocodile Dundee. But it didn't bug me because I didn't know. God, those black shapes on Cyclops' outfit are so well animated. I can only imagine what like a whole series of this could have been like. It would have been fantastic. But anyway, so they all hop in their jets. Nightcrawler waves goodbye, and there's Magneto. And look, there's just like up in the fucking mountains. Like, the X-Mansion isn't up in the mountains here. But Juggernaut's got to come along, smashes a couple trees, boom, boom. And then just laser blasters are taken off, shooting at him. And of course, Professor S has to explain to Kitty Pryde, but to us, like, that's Magneto, master of magnetism. And unfortunately, my stepbrother, Kane Marco, the Juggernaut. Juggernaut looks pretty damn good. And the energy on Magneto, I like his, like, electromagnetic shield, that bubble that's around him, looks great. Really powerful. Now, why does Magneto need the Cerebro's mutant control circuit? Professor X is like, Magneto can't hide his thoughts from me. I thought that's what the helmet was for. He's like, he needs this giant spheroid ball thing. So run away, kid, who's never been in this situation before. But I guess what else is he going to do? I mean, if Professor X can read Magneto's mind, just shut his fucking brain off. And can't he do that to Juggernaut? I guess maybe Juggernaut's helmet protects him. But when you start using logic and reason on these things, you start shutting the story down too quick. And it's just meant to be for kids. So it's all like classic, generic, heroic stuff and villainous stuff. Look at the size of Juggernaut's hands in that previous shot. Holy Lord. Magneto, I like his shot right there. His helmet is so fucking huge, but I like that it's kind of bulky of fitting over his head. It looks kind of cool. This is a neat part where Magneto uses his hands to twirl, like flinging his hands, pulling cables out of the wall to zap her. Stupid Kitty Pryde should have just kept going. But then, why is the world Magneto's? He's like, the world is mine. Because you got a mutant control search chip or something. The X-Jet looks pretty damn good, but they took off in 2 jets. Like, Wolverine and Nightcrawler got in one, and then the rest of them got in the other one. Now there's just one. Blob, he's done by the voice actor Alan Oppenheimer, I think his name. He did, like, Man-at-Arms in the He-Man cartoon. And then Pyro, he talks like an Australian, which I think is actually correct. I like how Colossus just walks up to the fucking lardass here and tries to pick him up. Blob's like, I'm too fat. You can't lift me, you metal motherfucker. Smacks him away. Great shot of their faces. Just the artistry in this animation is just leagues above the following series, which I know that's like the third time I've mentioned that. Wolverine's got his claws and he likes to pop them out and show everybody, but he can't hardly do anything with them. God, the animation of Storm's cape flowing in the wind right there was so damn good. Now, I got this problem. Look at Nightcrawler's outfit. Like, he's got blue skin on his face, but the blue skin goes down his arms and his legs and his ribs, so it looks like the only part of his costume that's covering him is like this thin stripe that goes right down through his nutsack and through his ass crack. Like, if that's the color of his skin on his face, oh God, I can't believe I'm getting commercials on this goddamn thing. This kind of ruins everything. I watched this earlier and it didn't play one commercial, and then I watched the same one, now it's playing commercials. I doubt anyone's like playing this along to watch with me, so I guess it doesn't matter. Fucking stupid YouTube. And then anyway, so you got Asteroid M. It's in orbit of Earth, right? Well, guess what? Earth doesn't have like a massive sea of asteroids floating around it. But again, it's a cartoon for kids. So now we get Toad, who's kind of a ridiculous, stupid version. Can you imagine the Rob Liefeld version from X-Force talking like this guy? It kind of puts a whole new spin on it. But so Magneto needs the mutant control circuit to plug into his machine to then be able to grab a comet that's flying by and redirect it to Earth to explode Earth. I mean, right? Wasn't that the plot? Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong. And then, of course, Lockheed, the little dragon's on Asteroid M for some reason. But the X-Men have returned, and Professor X was on a pile of rubble. Good thing he's already crippled. He's like, oh God, where's Kitty Pryde? And of course she wakes up to see Satan. But look at Nightcrawler's outfit. His face and his arms and the rest of his body are the same color tone. So it kind of implies that little skinny little outfit just going right down the middle of his body is it. And that's a little disturbing. Look at that. Tell me I'm wrong. And a little hole cut out for his tail to come out there. Of course, Wolverine's got to be an asshole to Kitty Pryde. Like, oh, she's just a kid. She's not coming with us. She's getting all killed or some shit. She's like, I'm not a kid. I'm 14 years old. Okay. Now she's hugging the professor. She's known him for like 20 minutes. She's like, I'm part of the team, right? And they're like, no, you failed everybody and you committed Earth to destruction. Thank you. Go home, please. What a classic design that Storm's wearing. It's perfect. They've never had a better costume design than that one. Anyway, back to Asteroid M. So Magneto gets on his giant machine and the power circuit works. So the mutant control chip lets him use his powers. And then, so he could shoot a giant laser beam into space, grab a comet, and then redirect it to Earth to kill everybody. Like, what are you going to do then, dummy? In less than a day, most of the human race will be wiped out and mutants will rule the Earth. Fucking stupid. And of course, it's narrated by Stan Lee, and it's pretty amazing. Stan Lee always made it kind of magical. Even as a kid, I was like, I don't know who this voice is, but I love it. And yeah, the comet's coming towards Earth. It punched me right in the nuts. Put me back in my chair, my X-Men. Dazzler's just pointless. Anyway, if the comet hits Earth, they're going to be plunged into a new ice age, so we got to go stop them. We got to be heroes. And Kitty Pryde's like, I'm not a kid. I'm 14 years old. And I would have just had Wolverine look at her and just be like, yeah, exactly. But no, kid, you can't come. You haven't been trained. Stay here. Stay in this mansion that just got attacked 30 minutes ago, and you don't know anybody or anything, and now you're alone by yourself. So the Blackbird, which is technology stolen from Lockheed Skunk Works, and apparently it can fly into orbit because X-Men. It's still pretty awesome. This animation is pretty fucking cool. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put a heavy filter on this, so you'll be seeing like a harsh black and white version. So it won't look quite as cool if you're watching this at all. But we've all seen this, right? I mean, the story's kind of silly because it just rushes through everything so quickly. Oh, and stupid Professor X, like he should have known that she was on there the entire time. You're the world's most powerful telepath. You can read everyone's mind. You couldn't read the scared little 14-year-old girl crying in the back. Again, you can't logic away these things too much. She's like, I'm going to go help. And he's like, okay, fine. Go into space, you 14-year-old kid. We've known you for an hour now, and you're already an astronaut in orbit. Does Cyclops shoot through his... Yep, he shoots through his helmet. That's cool. Storm generates lightning in space. I guess that works. And now they got to have all the X-Men pair off and like fight someone one-on-one. I couldn't wait for Wolverine to fight somebody. I'm like, oh God, who's Wolverine going to fight? Who's he going to stab to death? Of course, we start with Pyro. And then Dazzler. She's like, leave this to the Dazzler. And she throws like energy snowballs at him. She's like, you guys go ahead. I'll take care of him. And then Toad. He actually does something kind of cool. He jumps down, kicks the others out of the way, and then flings Wolverine. And he's like, don't worry, Dingo. He literally says that. Pops his claws out. I'm like, all right, fight. Slices the stone wall, smashes it into Toad. And then Toad takes off. Wolverine slices at him, cuts the wall above him to trap him, and then Wolverine never goes back to help the team. He just stands there like a dumbass. Juggernaut, who's going to fight him? Well, obviously Colossus, because clearly Colossus can't do anything against the Blob. This is awesome, how he picks up a giant ductwork thing, and Colossus is like, boom, and they crush this thing together. That's pretty badass. And they just start punching each other. I want to see Colossus punch Juggernaut more. That'd actually be a fun comic to draw. Boom, boom. And they're like, all right, the White Queen. I guess Cyclops will handle her. If only they knew in the comics those two would end up like fucking like hardcore way in the future. That would have reframed everything. And Nightcrawler's like, oh, you stink, you tub of shit. I'm just going to leave. Where go, he says. I do think it's interesting from a story perspective that it's Nightcrawler, of all people, to face off against Magneto and solve the problem. But they need to put him in a place to risk his life so Kitty Pryde can witness it and see that even just because a man looks like a demon straight from hell, he could still be a nice guy. Then Lockheed, of course, bites his ankle and shoots the circuit and breaks it, and he's like, you damaged the circuit. Now nothing can change the comet's course. Stupid Magneto. Nightcrawler's going to be awesome. He should be electrocuted to death somehow, but it doesn't. And then now it shoots another laser and deflects the comet towards Asteroid M, I guess. Magneto should have just killed Kitty Pryde right here. Can you imagine? He just rips her body apart. But no, Nightcrawler has to maintain the circuit. He has to stay here, or no matter what happens, Nightcrawler must die. And he just takes off. He took his whole team. I guess everyone was done fighting. He just gathered up all his villains and took off. And the Kitty's like, I can't leave you, not after the way I treated you. And Nightcrawler's like, God damn it, girl, get the fuck out of here. Pick up that dragon, I guess. Go back to the jet. Who created a force field bubble for them to get back in the jet? Oh my God. We're just zipping by so many story points. Of course, Nightcrawler can teleport out. Comet hits Asteroid M, blows it up. Animation looks great. And fucking YouTube commercials. I hate this so much. Skip. Fuck. No, Nightcrawler, you waited too long. Boom. Oh, there he is. Poof. Oh, he's going to burn up in the atmosphere. What a horrible way to die. The animation's pretty neat here where the jet comes along and tries to shoot out these, they call it grappling beams, but it's like fucking clamps, but they miss. Boom, boom. Oh, he's gone. He's vaporized. And Professor's like, he's gone because, of course, he can't detect mentally because he's the most powerful telepath on the planet. He can't detect Nightcrawler's right there in the fucking jet. And Kitty's like, I was so mean to him. I'll never get to tell him that he's awesome. Oh, no, there he is. He's fine. He's got that little thong outfit going straight up his ass, but there's a little hole in it for his tail to come out. It's disturbing. I understand maybe that it's just supposed to be blue spandex, but when his skin on his face and his arms and body are the same. Now they got a dragon, and everyone's fine with it. And they're like, hey, Wolverine, do you still think she shouldn't be part of the team? He's like, no, she sucks. She's a kid. She's going to get us all killed. And I'll stab her to death first. Boom, and the X-Men fly back to Earth in the jet that's not meant for orbital flight. So that's it. The sun comes up. The X-Men are standing on the Earth. They're like space gods now. Pretty damn good. You know, what, 22 minutes of just proof of concept. And this is the show, like, they based that whole arcade game off these characters. And that was a pretty damn fun game. I played that a million times. I fed a lot of quarters into that arcade game. It was pretty fun. But, you know, X-Men, Pryde of the X-Men, I don't know. As far as, I've never ran into anybody that doesn't like this thing. It's pretty damn good, especially at a time when, I mean, the X-Men were pretty popular in 89, and of course, coming up on the 90s, they were just about to get bigger than ever, but I couldn't imagine anybody who wasn't into this. And I've never met anybody who doesn't like it. Now, you could, like we just did here, critique the shit out of it for its weird story pacing, but again, 22 minutes, they got to get through it really fast. So they did the best they could. And I mean, we can't really hold that against them. So anyway, I know this is a little different. I mean, it's still comics related. Depending on how this goes, I might do more. The 90s X-Men cartoon, the Night of the Sentinels, that's I was actually going to do that first, but I wanted to get through this one too. And just trying to create some variety for the channel a little bit. Whether anybody gives a shit to listen to me talk about, you know, anything, movies and stuff like that. My brother and I, we did the commentary to Howard the Duck, and that was one of the funnest things we've ever done. I've listened to it myself just personally a couple of times, and I laugh at it. So it's just funny just to sit down and riff on that show. So we're going to get together and do more. Right, John? We're going to do more. But until then, I just thought doing a little like quick half-hour videos on some stuff like this might be just something fun, a little bit different, a little change. So anyway, that's it. I hope this was fun. You know, I'd like to hear anybody's thoughts on what they thought about the animation and the show, everything. And I guess that's it. So I'll see you next time. Thanks.